Volkswagon assembly plant in Kuliapitia, Google balloons airborne to provide the country with free Wi-Fi, tallest standing structure in Asia to be constructed at Chalmers Granary. Today, Oil Refinery in Hambantota in collaboration with Oman's Ministry of Oil and Gas. Oman says no preparations to invest in Sri Lanka.
Those were a few projects that this government promised in the past to the general public, and up to date those projects have not come to fruition or become reality. Now we have identified yet another situation that comes up to a situation like this, but before we go there, let me explain to you what I'm going to talk to you about. I also have Mr. Faraz Shaukat Ali joining us in the studio. Faraz, let's explain to the general public as to what we are going to talk to them about. On the 24th of this month, which is the coming Sunday, we are going to see two projects being inaugurated by the government. One is for an oil refinery project in the Mirijaville area, and the other one is also for a cement factory in the same area. Our producers can show you the visuals of this area as well. This is a project carried out by the BOI. Now, especially when you take a look at this oil refinery project, we are going to talk to you about the findings that we at News First have been able to find with regard to this oil refinery. Faraz, can you explain to me what is happening with regard to this oil refinery?
Yes, well, we found out that there's two companies basically, or two stakeholders, and one was the Singaporean company called Silver Park. They had 69.97% of the shares according to our research, and the Oman Ministry of Oil would have 30.03, bringing it to a total of 100%. But there's a problem, isn't there?
Definitely, Faraz. Now, when we say Oman Oil Ministry has 30% and 0.03 as well, yeah, with regard to this particular project, this particular article came up on Reuters yesterday. This says Oman denies it has agreed to invest in Sri Lanka oil refinery project. Now, is this another Volkswagen that is being promised to the general public? Because we remember what happened in that particular incident. We remember what happened at the incident where the government promised the tallest building in South Asia to be constructed. Is this something similar when Oman says 30%, when the government says 30% is involved with regard to the Oman Oil Ministry, and Oman denies it according to Reuters? Now, that is where for us, when we decided to dig in deep into this situation and look into what has actually happened. Now, I have details with me for us to say the company that you mentioned, the Singaporean company Silver Park, which is going to own at least 69.97%. What they have come across, this is their website for us, for our general public as well, and as you can see, it doesn't look like a very professionally put together website. It looks like something that has been put together in a bit of a hurry. In a bit of a hurry, absolutely. Now, when you go down further, you find the two founders of these companies. Yeah. One gentleman is Mr. Rakshan is his name. Yeah. And if you just do a simple Google search on this individual, we have this individual's history.
Yes.
And it doesn't look so clean for us, to be plain with you. Yes. There are several controversies where this particular gentleman is involved in, and yes, you can see it on several media sites as well. I'm just going to show you this page on Wikipedia where everything is summed up. Multifold increase in personal wealth is his first allegation. Coal mining scam allegations.
And I think you have to notice it here. It says here that this increase in wealth from 5 crores in 2009 to 70 crores in 2011 is the highest percentage rise for property amongst all ministers in the Central Cabinet of India.
Absolutely, Faraz. Now, also, when we go back to this particular company and have a look at where this company is situated, before we go there, we also remember yesterday we reported on our news bulletin about Mr. Nirav Modi, who is a person wanted by the Indian government for fraud, who was arrested in London and is due to be extradited from London to India based on the request of the Indian police. Whereas we here in Sri Lanka are trying to get Mr. Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor of the central bank, extradited to Sri Lanka. We have more coming up on that as well. But before we get there, these people seem to be of similar stature. Indian businessmen mired in controversy. We see people like that coming and investing in funds here in Sri Lanka, in projects here in Sri Lanka. Now, if you just look at for us the company that is mentioned, Silver Sparks, if you just look at the vicinity through Google Maps.
That's right. It doesn't augur, it doesn't certainly give the impression that this is a company that's investing, what's it, $3.85 billion, American dollars. That's 3,850 million United States dollars. It just doesn't augur well.
We see a cafeteria here, pharmacy, several other shops here, and this is the building supposedly housing this particular company.
It does seem sort of inconsistent with one would expect from a company, from a corporate that's going to embark on a $3,850 million project.
That's not all for us. Now, if you take a look at when this BOI proposal has come in, it has come into the country in 2016. November 10th, it has come. The proposal has come forward on the 10th of November 2016.
Yeah.
But this particular company has been incorporated in 2017, 1 year after the project proposal. This is not the only time something like this has happened.
No, this sort of trend, if you like, sorry, has happened before. Do you remember when, Chatu?
I think the Outer Circular Highway project for us.
That's right. If we remember rightly, that Outer Circular project was concluded, the cabinet authority was given on a weekend. On a weekend. The trend has been set. It's a bit like
the dates are a bit messed up.
Yes, the dates are messed up. It means very clearly that they have been planning this scam, because that's what it appears to be, this sort of scam. They've been planning it long before. They've been planning it well before the 10th of November 2016, which is when they actually made a request of the BOI.
Absolutely, Faraz. Now, when you take a look at the Singapore company, we also looked at where our local agent with regard to this particular $3.85 billion project is residing, and we found some interesting footage. We are seeing this right here on your screen. The local agent for this particular company has an address in Malbatta Road in Colombo 11. For those of you who are not familiar with Malbatta Road, the Malbatta Road is familiar or famous for its shops containing CDs, cassettes, and even shoes, but definitely not a $3.85 billion USD project and a local agent to have a shop there. And the address mentioned in the project proposal that we obtained from the BOI through our sources is not anywhere in Malbatta Street, and the address ends at number 88. We looked very thoroughly with regard to this, but the address cannot be found. If at all, if the address is available, that is located in Malbatta, Colombo 11 for us.
Yes, I think the scam is sort of unraveling in bits and pieces thanks to the intense efforts of the media, who are obviously representing the people's interest, because it has been one scam after another. That's all I can say.
Yes, Faraz. Now, as you mentioned, we mentioned Mr. Mahendran earlier as well. Now, with things like this happening, one can question these large amounts of money coming into the country in the form of investments. Are these money black money? Maybe some people want to make it clean, launder it through by investing it in projects like this. That is a question that is actually that comes to the minds of the people who are watching this.
Well, it does, because in this day and age, and with all these FIU units all over the world, it has become increasingly difficult to hide money and to shift large sums of money around the world. And one easy way would be to invest in so-called projects.
Faraz, this topic was discussed in Parliament as well. Several parliamentarians raised this question from the Prime Minister himself with regard to this oil refinery project. Let's hear what the Prime Minister has to say in Parliament.
The other day it was said that approval had been granted for a deal between a certain company and Oman to the tune of $3.08 billion. Now who are you trying to deceive? While the government of Oman is not even aware of such an investment, if someone is trying to deceive the people of this country and award this 400-acre land to a private company, there is a massive issue there. When I spoke to the Director General a short while ago, he said that he will issue a media release and inform the people on the details.
මම එකපාරක් මේ ගැන කතා කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා මම පොඩි අමාරුවක වැටුණා.
විශේෂම අගමැතිතුමත් මේ සභාවේ ඉන්න වෙලාවේ අගමැතිතුමාට පුළුවන් නම් ඒ සඳහා උත්තරයක් ලබා දෙන්න. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඕමාන රජය ඛනිජ සම්පත් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ නිවේදනයක් නිකුත් කළා තියෙනවා.
මමත් මේ නිවේදනය දැක්කම that they have interest in this matter and they want to be having further discussions කියලා. උම ඊට පස්සේ ඇතුනේ සාකච්ඡා මොකද්ද කියලා එතන කියයි. ඉතින් ඕමාන මේක නෙමෙයි මම දැක්ක එක මට කියන්න.
ගරු කාංචන විජේසේකර මන්ත්‍රී
අගමැතිතුමනි දැන් ඔබතුමන්ලා
විවාදයක් කරන්න බෑ.
විවාදයක් නෙමෙයි. මම අගමැතිතුමා
සම්පූර්ණ මේකෙන් ඒගොල්ලෝ කරුණු ටික කියයි නිවේදනයේ.
නමුත් කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවේ යන්නේ මේක ඕමාන රජයත් සමග කරන ව්‍යාපෘතියක් ඇටියට.
ඒ කැබිනට් මේකෙන් සම්බන්ධ වෙන ව්‍යාපෘතියක් ඇටියට. ඒකේ ප්‍රධාන කොටස්කරුවන් ඔමානි රජය නෙමෙයි. කිසිවිට එතන කියලා එක. Who?
Nalin Bandar, day before yesterday.
He had answered a question saying that Omani government was also interested in it to take a stake. So yeah, there have been discussions on a 30% stake. So today I said if they are interested, try and make it 40%.
The Prime Minister in Parliament says if they want 40, we can discuss it. So looks like it for us that this is still in the discussion stage.
Well, it's the proper way of describing it would be that this is a half-baked project. The Prime Minister, this is not some fish market and an auction of fish, because the Prime Minister is saying, oh, well, they only had a discussion of 30%, but, you know, if they want it, I'll give them 40%. What kind of rubbish is this business? He's dealing with another sovereign state.
But we've seen things like this in the past when it comes to the ETI-EAP agreement, where one company came forward before the agreement, before the cabinet approval, then thereafter the company changed into something else.
That's
we have
right.
seen this happening in the country, and this same Prime Minister was the person who said that Mahendran had gone for a wedding and that he would return. This same Prime Minister is the Prime Minister who, when we inquired, when Volkswagen spoke to us and said we are not investing in your country, this same Prime Minister said, if you had asked me, I would have told you that it was not Volkswagen. So this is the same Prime Minister that is saying this also in Parliament for us.
And if you notice, this is the same Prime Minister who becomes very flippant when he's cornered and he's asked very specific questions. It's like the 30% from the government of Oman, and he turns it all around and becomes very flippant and then says, well, if they want to, I'll give you 40%. What is all this business? This is a complete and utter departure from due process, and this has been the trend right from the beginning of Mr. Wickremesinghe's tenure in this government, the so-called good governance team. It started, of course, in February 2015 along with the bonds.
Absolutely, Faraz. Now, we have been speaking about the bond scam and extraditing Mr. Arjuna Mahendran back to the country to face legal charges here. State Minister Sujiva Senasinghe was questioned regarding this same topic today, and Sujiva Senasinghe, State Minister, had this to say.
මහලංකුවේ වංචාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් සිංගප්පූරුවෙන් ලිඛිතව ඉල්ලීමක් කළා කියනවාද රජයක් විදියට මොහු අපිට ලබා දෙන්න මොහු අපිට හොයලා දෙන්න කියලාත් අඩු ගන්න.
මම දන්නේ රජයක් වශයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙනවද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ.
ඉල්ලීමක් කරන්න හදිසියක්වත් නැහැ.
රජයට අපිට හිතුණු කට්ටියට එන්න කියන්න බෑ.
ඉල්ලීමක් කරන්න බැරිද කියලා අහන්නේ රාජතාන්ත්‍රිකව හරි මම
I don't know. We may have put in a request, or maybe we have not. With regard to this issue, if there is a request from courts, we can bring him down through Interpol.
අගමැතිතුමා එතකොට අගමැතිතුමා වගකීම් බාර ගන්නවා කියලා තමයි එතුමාව පත් කරන්නේ.
මම දන්නේ එහෙම වගකීම් බාර ගන්න
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතාවක් කරලා තිබ්බා.
එහෙම තිබ්බනම් අගමැති
ඒකත් එකක් නඩුවෙත් එතුමාව චූතියක් වෙලා කළා තියෙන. කියන්නේ ගෙන්නන්න කියලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට රජයට ඉල්ලන්න බැරිද අපේ නඩුවකට මෙයා ආවනේ මෙයාව ගෙන්නන්න පුළුවන්.
තාම නඩුවවත්
Even the case has not been filed as yet. That is the true story. You are using this to attack us politically. When we sat on the COPE committee, mud was slung at us. We added footnotes in the report. All the footnotes are correct. That is why we said this was legal. The CID still cannot file a case, but they are looking for people.
නඩුවක්වත් ගොනු කරගන්න බෑ CID එකට. හැබැයි මිනිස්සු හොයනවා. රටම කතා කරලා නඩුවක්වත් ෆයිල් කරලා නැහැ තාම. වරද නෙමෙයි ෆයිල් කරගන්න බෑ. ඒ අදාළ අංශයටවත් මේක ෆයිල් කරගන්න බෑ තාම. තොරතුරු නේ.
It's not the lack of information. That is the mistake. The legal aspect of this matter is a separate issue that should be debated. A case hasn't been filed as yet. We are questioned on this without even a case being filed on the matter.
While State Minister Sujiva Senasinghe had that to say a short while ago, we reported on a breaking news telecast. This was the letter issued by the President's Media Division listing out the action that has been taken to present legal documents to the Singaporean government through the Secretary of the Defence Ministry to extradite Mr. Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Faraz?
Well, when we read President Sirisena's latest release on this matter, it has become abundantly clear that the integrity of Singapore seems to have taken a rather steep nosedive. We had that legendary statesperson Lee Kuan Yew, who was a visionary and who had all sorts of wonderful ideas and who built Singapore. But today, when we see this sort of behavior, it certainly is obvious that Singapore's integrity has taken a rather steep nosedive.
Absolutely, Faraz. Drawing your attention back to what Mr. Senasinghe said today. Senasinghe said cases have not been filed, which is actually true. CID has not been able to file a case with regard to the central bank bonds.
I'm not sure, Chaturanga, that you should be saying that the CID has not been able to. I think it's better to say that the CID have not filed a case.
Absolutely.
And the question, therefore, must remain as to why. Why is this so-called I don't care attitude? Why are they not doing it? Who is behind that?
We remember, Faraz, the president appointing the Presidential Commission into the bond scam. The Presidential Commission bond scam report was sent to the AG. But what happened to it is that the President's Secretary, Mr. Austin Fernando, decided to put it in the archive for 30 years. Some said parts of it was available. Some said the whole thing is in the archive. But up to date, action has not been taken on the Presidential Commission bond report. And even the forensic audit that has been requested in the Presidential Commission report has not yet been done. There are delays pertaining to that as well, as we reported to you yesterday. And what happened to Mr. Austin Fernando? He received a promotion and he has received...
He is now a diplomat.
A diplomatic
representing
position.
his country after having tried his best to archive a report for 30 years when it was described as the largest ever fraud perpetrated on the people of Sri Lanka post-independence.
It's very simple for us. If you just read this media release sent out by the President's Media Division, it's very clear as to what steps have been taken to extradite Mr. Arjuna Mahendran back to the country. And there is another simple step that can be taken, and that is to, as State Minister Sujiva Senasinghe says, file a case and extradite Mr. Arjuna Mahendran. This same topic was discussed in Parliament today. Let's have a listen.
Maithripala Sirisena is not just a parliamentarian. He had made a public statement that he had requested for Arjun Mahendran to be extradited to Sri Lanka. Now the Singaporean government says that no proper request has been made and no sufficient documents have been provided for the extradition of Mahendran. Now what do you have to say? I think you must provide answers to this to Parliament as a government. The people are watching to determine who is right and who is wrong on this matter. The President also has the right to reveal the names of any individual who obstructs these proceedings.
Regarding
the request made by President Maithripala Sirisena to the Singaporean government for the extradition of Arjuna Mahendran and the Singaporean Foreign Ministry's response on the matter, President Sirisena had even made a personal request to the Singaporean Prime Minister regarding the extradition of Mahendran to Sri Lanka. These actions reveal that the President has taken all the necessary steps from his side. We also expect the President to further explain these steps in detail in the near future. I requested MP Harsha De Silva to answer the question I raised. However, the response came from the opposition and not the ruling party. I submit the paper article of the Singaporean ASP newspaper and will include the article in this Hansard.
Sri Lanka request to return Mahendran lacked certain information required under Singapore's extradition laws. Singapore has not yet received the requested supporting information and documents.
I submit this to the Hansard. After holding discussions with the Singaporean Prime Minister, President Sirisena instructed several ministers to prepare the requested documents and to proceed with this matter. The Ministry of Justice is responsible for this extradition law to be enforced. If so, why was the law not enforced by the Ministry of Justice Thalatha Kurala? There is a court order to capture him through Interpol. However, the statement issued by the government of Singapore reveals that they were not aware of such an order. Even if Minister Thalathathu Korala does not have any connections with Arjun Aloysius, there are several parliamentarians in this government who are very close friends of Arjun Aloysius. This will have an impact on Minister Thalathathu Korala. This is a dangerous situation. The danger is that an individual such as Mahindran has left the country. Minister Thalathathu Korala must inform Parliament as to who is obstructing her from informing the Singaporean government in this regard.
We only have this to say at the end. If these are the type of people who come and invest in the country with these sorts of corruption allegations, fraud allegations against them, and if these people are brought into the country, be it Accord, be it Silverpack, if these people are brought to the country by people like Mangalayapa, who are also involved in corruption charges, the country remembers what they have done. Do these people who continue to, how do I say this for us, basically not care about the people of this country?
I think we need to end by posing the question, does the government think, or parts of the government, do they think that the people are deaf, dumb, or stupid? That's the question.
Definitely, it's back to the main studio.
Country first.